gentlemen, we have a long way to go today, and we're going to be very fast. On behalf of the Planning Committee, I welcome all of you to Owerri, the capital city of the Heartland State. Today is a historic day. When you see the governors of the Southeast, the President General and the Executive Ohaneze Ndị Igbo, traditional rulers, the cream of the business community, the clergy, notable women and youth, people at all levels of society, when you see them gathered together, you know that something historic is about to happen. Ndị Igbo are here today to find solutions to the existential problems facing our homeland. The Southeast Zone, a place known for its peace and calm, its energy, its industry, and innovation, is facing relentless insecurity. This has impacted on the lives of the people and the once bubbling economy of the Southeast region. The Southeast governors have been grappling with this distraction to the region's advancement. Today, they have called you here not for lamentations, but to join the search for solutions. When I was asked to organize a summit on behalf of the Southeast governors by the initiator, the chairman of the Governors Forum, Governor Hope Uzodimma, it was clear that it was not going to be easy. But I was glad to take it on, because like most sons and daughters of Igbo land, I was very worried about how the zone was shaping. Starting with Sam Nwobasi and Iman Onoha, we were able to gather a formidable team of 65 experts, intellectuals, high-level technocrats, and professionals in rare fields, scattered all over the world. They have been working intensely for over 3 months, sacrificing their time and talent to study the problem of insecurity and its impact on the economy, and designing a way forward for the Southeast. As part of our methodology and work plan, research committees were set up. We have done the deep dive into the challenges we face. We have our findings. This summit is meant to harvest the views and suggestions of the people to further enrich the work already done by the committees, which we'll discuss tomorrow. So that at the end of the day, what we hand over to governors will reflect the voices of the people of the Southeast region. I cannot thank enough the men and women of the committees of the summit. Some have abandoned their regular jobs for weeks now to focus exclusively on this project. They have come from the United States, Britain, South Africa, as far away as Australia, and all over Nigeria indeed, to deliver this project. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no problem we have in the Southeast region that we cannot solve if we come together with single-minded focus and a strong sense of togetherness. I want to thank God for seeing us through to this day, and especially seeing all of you here safely. I thank the governors of the Southeast for the confidence they reposed on the team during the course of this work. Working for brilliant bosses who are high achievers in their own right is not an easy thing, because you cannot get away with any sloppiness. I want to deeply appreciate the governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma, for birthing this idea of a summit and funding it and funding its execution to the hilt, which made our work very easy and hassle-free. Thank you, Governor Uzodimma. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, welcome to the summit, and please join the project team in applauding the new age governors of the Southeast for taking this bold step on behalf of Igbo. Igbo kwenu, okwandi Igbo. Yunu, Igbo kwenu, kwezonu. Ewo, Nabela.
Anyị na-ekele ọmalịcha nwaanyị Senator Chris Anyanwụ MFA daalụ nne maka okwu ịgwala anyị dịka anyị na-amalite. Oge a bụzi mgbe anyị ga-anụ okwu chairman ga-agwa anyị, opening remarks by the chairman, His Excellency Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, GCON. Please, for the opening remarks.
Senator, distinguished Senator Anyim, who just spoke, and the chairman of the organizing committee, I think that Igbo Queen is not actually well received from a woman. And maybe that's why. Ndibo, the leader of the Igbo nation, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, CFR, and President General of Ohanes and Igbo worldwide. Our dear Chief Host, His Excellency Governor Uzodimma of Imo State, His Excellency Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State, His Excellency Governor Soludo of Anambra State, His Excellency Governor Alex Oti of Abia State. I am informed that my own governor, His Excellency Governor Francis Wigo, is on his way. Your Royal Majesty, Abogidin Naimeka Achebe, Ubi of Onitsha, and other royal fathers present. My Lord, Most Archbishop Raphael Oboko, and other members of the clergy present. Honorable Minister of State for Labor, Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha, my own brother and friend, Most Distinguished Senator Adolphus Wabara, former President of the Senate. Your Excellency, Distinguished Senator General, former Governor of Imo State, Ike Nwachukwu, Distinguished Senator Ifeanyi Oba, Distinguished Senator Uche Kunife, Distinguished Senator Ben Obi, and a whole lot of other members of the National Assembly I am not able to identify. Former Governor Hakim of Imo State, and a whole lot of other former governors, former ministers, and former members of the National Assembly present. Heads of security agencies present, Honorable Mrs. Josephine Anene, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and permit me to stand on all other existing protocols that had been established. I am extremely delighted to welcome all of you to this August summit. This gathering today, to my recollection, is the first of its kind in a long time. What comes close to this kind of gathering, where all Igbo men and women in public and private endeavors are assembled together, was the Ahiajoko lecture series that has not held for a long time now. So let me therefore thank most profoundly our dear governors under the aegis of the Southeast Governors Forum for demonstrating leadership by convening this summit. I would like to thank the leadership of Ohaneze Ndibo under his President General, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwanyan, CFR, for supporting this summit and mobilizing our people to attend. I have special thanks for the summit organizing committee headed by our own dear distinguished Senator, Chris Anyim. I thank you all. I congratulate you, ma'am. As we are gathered today, we acknowledge that we as Ndibo, like the rest of Nigeria, are facing very serious security and economic challenges. We are here to show our collective will, our determination and our solidarity in the search for solutions to our challenges. Above all, we are here to send a clear message to our people at home and abroad and to our fellow Nigerians that the Igbo nation strives to become more cohesive in order to be more effective in contributing its quota in the search for national consensus on equity, peace, and development. The theme of this summit can never be more apt, Southeast Beyond 2023, Time for Reset, as it focuses on the security and economic realities on ground. Accordingly, I believe that this summit presents to us a platform for deeper reflection on our situation, and more particularly on what should be our best approaches and attitudes going forward. Let me state upfront that in this summit, we need deeper reflection on how best to pursue our rightful place in the Nigerian Federation. B, we must reconsider our present direction of development, that is, our social and economic priorities and choices. And lastly, we must agree on how to further engage our young brothers and sisters involved with Biafran agitation to reconsider the idea, because no wise man goes to war with himself. Hence, after the war, you either kill yourself or wound yourself badly. Ladies and gentlemen, I am also aware that our able governors have set out in their respective states to address most of the issues we are going to discuss in this summit. For instance, I am aware that in addition to the security initiative in each and every Southeast state, His Excellency Governor Soludo just held an Anambra Economic Summit. Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State just had Economic Roundtable. Governor Uzodimma of Imo State is developing a new economic corridor in Uguta. Governor Francis Nwifuru of Ebonyi State is developing a new industrial and youth enterprise program. And Governor Lexoti of Abia State is reviving Aba as a new economic corridor. Consequently, this summit is not intended to dish out directives to our governors, but rather to create a platform to share new ideas and understanding on areas of collaborations and integration. In view of the above, I shall therefore only randomly pinpoint a few of my observations which the summit may wish to consider. 1. In the 1960s, the economy of Southeast was rated the fastest growing regional economy in the world due to the pragmatic and planned economic policies of the then Michael Opara administration. At that time, we had not just the rise of industries, but planned industrial corridors, or industrial estates, if you like, all over eastern Nigeria. All the corridors were serviced by the then governments with roads, water, electricity, and so on. Worthy of mention among others are Aba Industrial Estate, Transamadi Industrial Estate, Emene Industrial Estate, Aba Road Industrial Corridor in Omahia, Cashew Plantation, Oil Palm Plantation, and so on. From these industrial estates, we had Golden Guinea breweries, modern ceramics industries, Aba Glass Industries, Nigerian Breweries Industries, PZ Industries, Eagle Cement in Calago, Portland Cement Calabar, Amarako Power Station, the first independent power plant in Nigeria, and so on. But since 1999, that's about 24 years ago, the attention of our governments have shifted. No government in eastern Nigeria has considered it needful to service industrial corridors and attract private sector investors to set up factories in those corridors. The implication of this is the constriction of employment opportunities for our young school leavers whose numbers have multiplied. According to James Baldwin, the most dangerous creation of any society is the man who has nothing to lose. This may be the reason for the upsurge of crime and criminality in our zone. In the words of Robert Kennedy, every society gives the kind of criminals they deserve. We need to rethink our developmental priorities in accordance with the needs of the moment. I make bold to say that policy choices and prioritization are fundamental responsibility of leadership. 2, in the 1970s and 80s, Southeast was known for its special entrepreneurship apprenticeship system. It was one of the most unique and fastest growing of its kind in the world. It is therefore ironic that as this system is beginning to catch global attention for serious study and wider adaptation, it is now under severe stress here at home. To worsen matters, successive governments cared little about the collapse of technical secondary schools, which would have supported our budding entrepreneurs. It is my honest recommendation that we should collectively re-engineer this entrepreneurial system, make it fit for the changing times, and ensure that it remains one of our unique contributions to the new global economic direction. 3, as a young Nigerian leader, I was privileged to learn at the feet of many of our elders. The late Super Permanent Secretary at Large, Ahmed Joda, was one of them. He once told me that the first generation Nigerian universities were planned and built as part of the National Economic Plan. According to him, before any university was built, a 5-year plan was factored into the National Economic Plan to accommodate their graduates. The courses and curricula of those universities were also tailored to areas of national needs. That was why jobs were waiting for the graduates even before they concluded their studies. Today, we do not undertake such rigorous planning to continuously align our educational system with our national or regional needs. This, no doubt, is part of the reason for the unprecedented unemployment with the consequential effect on insecurity in our zone. I call for a return. Educational institutions should be an integral part of the socio-economic agenda of our governments. Accordingly, educational institutions should be planned as an economic institution with the aim to solve or set economic goals. 4, I observed that in the 1960s, government officials and elected representatives struggled to make ends meet. But today, the shortest cut to affluence and fame is to have access to government appointments or be elected as an honorable member. This has created an unhealthy competition in the politics of our time, leading to militarization of our political processes and its consequential effect on insecurity. We need a return because the arms used during elections do not decay hereafter. 5, there is clearly a nexus between the current high level of insecurity in the Southeast and the fact that some criminal elements are unleashing mayhem under the cover of agitation for Biafra. We must emphasize that the circumstances that led to Biafra agitation in 1967 is not the same as what is happening today. Therefore, we must endeavor to point out the difference in the present agitation. Today, we do not have anything that in any way approximates to the situation in 1967. There is absolutely no consensus on the purpose, content, method, and boundaries of today's Biafra agitation. I therefore call for a rethink by all those involved in this agitation. In rethinking the Biafran agitation, we need to honestly articulate what have been the outcomes or impact of the agitation so far. For example, in my own opinion, in the last 4 years, every Monday had been declared by some non-state actors as sit-at-home day. The enforcement had been brutal, leading to enormous loss of lives and property. It is estimated that hundreds of lives and hundreds of billions of naira have been lost to the sit-at-home order and its enforcement. 2, life has become very difficult in the Southeast, and almost every successful person in the Southeast is in self-exile. If care is not taken, very soon, none of us will come home, no matter the number of security personnel you carry. 3, social and economic activities have been dislocated, businesses have collapsed, no social activity can any longer safely take place in the zone, and no new businesses are being attracted to the zone. If care is not taken, very soon, every means of livelihood in the zone may dry up. Heavy arms and ammunition have become instruments of political campaigns, resulting in gross voter apathy. If care is not taken, very soon, Southeast will lose national political relevance, as votes from Southeast will no longer be of any consequence. Crime and criminality have become widespread in Southeast because common criminals have taken advantage of the agitation to advance their evil enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, in view of the above, I call for the following actions. We must articulate and put on record the human, material, and social losses occasioned by this insecurity. This data may appeal to the senses of our young men and women who are involved in this agitation and who may have been underestimating the impact and consequences of the carnage. The data may also attract the sympathy of those who are in a position to help us out. 2, we must, as leaders, state very clearly and put on record our common position on this agitation. 3, we must be bold to identify and put on record our position on the causes and solutions to this insecurity in the Southeast. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, mine is to welcome you to this summit. But in addition, let me urge you to speak up. We must go out of here with clear vision and direction of where we are going and how and when to get here and when to get there. We must not wait this rare opportunity. Again, I say, Ndibo, the day is today and the time is now. I thank you all.
Can we put our hands together one more time for His Excellency, the former Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Anyim Pius Anyim. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this summit is strictly to reset our priorities to the Southeast in the areas of security and economic development. I want to directly speak to His Excellency the Governor of Imo State. Your Excellency, barely 4 years ago, when you started this journey, you told Imo people that you are coming for reconstruction, rehabilitation, and recovery. Only yesterday, I saw a live event where you are trying to create Silicon Valley in Owerri, where thousands of Imo State youths can command the world and be part of the global village right on their palm. Thank you for thinking about the future. And so without much ado, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's therefore my pleasure and honor to welcome here the Governor of Imo State and Chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodimma.
Your Excellencies, the governors of Southeast here present with us, the President General of Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwayam Ahejagamba, former governors in our midst, former Senate Presidents, the speakers of the various houses of assemblies in the Southeast of Nigeria, the honorable ministers, the Minister of Science and Technology, Chief Uchenna Ji, the Minister of State Labor, Employment and Productivity, Right Honorable Nkiru Onyejocha, the Chief of Defense Staff, ably represented by Major General Parker on their day, the Chief of Defense Intelligence, National Security Advisor, ably represented by Major General Okechukwu Ugo, retired, the Zonal Coordinator, National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, the Chief of Army Staff, ably represented by our able Major General H.T. Dada, the GOC 82 Division, Nigerian Army, the Chief of Naval Staff, ably represented by Rear Admiral USA Chugali, the FOC Commanding Central Naval Command. I must inform this august audience that the service chiefs are engaged with a national assignment that coincided with this date, and that is why they are all represented, including our own dear Chief of Naval Staff. The Royal Fathers of the day, His Majesty the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Alfred Echebe, and other Royal Highnesses in our midst, the Chairman Imo State Council of Traditional Rulers, S.East, the Chairman Imo State Council of Elders, His Royal Highness S.C.I. Ilomaya, distinguished Igbo leaders, elder statesmen, great Igbo business moguls, and the academia, and also the private sector investors, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government and people of Imo State, I most humbly welcome my brother governors, His Excellency the Governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, His Excellency the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Soludo, His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, Chief Peter Mba, the Governor of Ebonyi State, who is not here yet, is on his way, was tied up with a meeting in Abuja that lasted throughout the night. But it is my hope that before the end of this first session, he will either be here or his deputy governor will be here. I want to thank all of us here gathered for coming to honor us with your presence. I want to also thank all of us, the organizing committee, for the wonderful performance they were able to display in organizing and putting this function together. May I also welcome other stakeholders here, the clergy, leaders of our church, Ndieze, the intelligentsia, political good juggernauts, our serving and retired security personnel, our dependable women leaders, our resilient youths. I did not forget members of the National Assembly who came all the way from Abuja to participate in this ceremony. In those days, when our people took their destiny in their hands and did not wait for government to provide all their needs, decisions on the educational, economic, and developmental goals of the communities were taken at gatherings such as this. And that was how schools, town halls, and other infrastructure were built in the Southeast. And that was how intelligent but indigent students were sent abroad on scholarships. And that was how cooperative societies were set up to aid the commercial needs of our members. For me, this summit heralds a glorious new dawn. I pray that it shall stimulate and grow the creative energy we need to forge a lasting synergy among Ndibo. I know our town unions are doing their best to keep Igbo kindred's spirit alive. But we all know that the thread is weakened. As for the government, we all have nostalgic feelings about the First Republic, the era of late Michael Okpara, the astronomical growth of the economy of the eastern Nigeria, when palm produce was the mainstay of the economy, when agriculture combined with industrialization to catapult the East to the enviable status of the fastest growing economy in the entire country. It appears that our noble men of history understood the timeless Igbo philosophy that says, Uzodimma and Age. They also knew that cohesion and vision were essential drivers of progress and development. We may need to pause for a while to identify what has really gone wrong with Ndibo, or where we got it wrong. How come we could achieve so much in the pre-independence and the immediate post-independence era, but today we are gasping for breath to find our feet in the project Nigeria? How did the mighty Igbo nation fall almost fatally from her Olympian height to the basement? Is it the same Igbo race that formed the ingenious Igbo State Union even before independence, which became a rallying point for the development of our Igbo and their respected voice in Nigeria. Is it the race we are talking about? Is it the Igbo race that produced an array of trailblazers who recorded many firsts in different fields of human endeavor in the past, and they still do? Is it the race we are talking about? Is it the same Igbo race that the great Zeke of Africa once predicted that it was destined to lead and liberate Africa, that cannot even assert its strength anymore in today's Nigeria? There are more questions, but suffice it to admit that all point to the same conclusion: we are currently not doing very well. It is important, while we are still in the memory of jotting process, to remind ourselves of the fact that Igbo have recorded so many firsts in Nigeria, particularly in intellectual, in scientific, and technological fields, before and after independence. The list of such great Igbos with prodigious feats in many fields is long enough to keep us here the whole day, if I were to name them one by one. The good news is that till today, Igbos have continued to be trailblazing in various fields of endeavor, such as technology and invention, where Igbos are now topping the charts. For example, Professor Batin Naji was the first African to become director of the United States National Science Foundation and the first to be honored by the World Bank. While Professor Ume Ifeanyi Chinedu is credited with 5 patents for his inventions. Above all, Igbos are listed and recognized in many publications among the highest achievers and technologically advanced people in the world. Every now and then, Nigerian girls and boys are recognized for incredible academic feats in various subjects all over the world. A Nigerian girl of Igbo extraction was recently named the best graduating medical student at a Russian university. A few days later, a Nigerian boy was named the best graduating student at a university in the United States of America. Recently, an Igbo girl was the best graduating student in a Chinese university. Evidently, therefore, one can say that Igbo intellectual and technological ingenuity is still alive and kicking. It is still the same race, the same people, speaking the same language, and sharing the same culture and even religion. But something has snapped. The Igbos still manifest their entrepreneurial, intellectual, and technological wizardry, now mostly in far-away lands, with only a handful doing so in the homeland. The prevailing situation in Igbo land today is best captured by the words of W.B. Yeats, which were made popular by our own Shuna Ishebe. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. That truly appears to be the problem. The center in Igbo homeland can no longer hold. That is the reality of the moment. The ironclad unity that made us thick enough to lead Nigeria in commerce, lead Nigeria in civil service and the bureaucracy, and even in the organized private sector, has taken flight. That is the cancerous worm that has eaten deep into the fabric and soul of Ndi Igbo. We are no longer united. We no longer speak with one voice. We have allowed ourselves to be fragmented. We have willfully allowed ourselves to be divided. And as the scripture says, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Some of our brothers and sisters even refuse to be referred to as Igbos. That is how sorry and how sad our story is. That is why the Igbos have become almost distant from the mainstream Nigerian polity. So what do we do? Do we fold our hands and allow ourselves drift further into the bottomless abyss of insignificance? Or do we accept the challenge and jolt ourselves out of the slumber of self-defeat? To do this, we need to start telling ourselves some bitter home truths. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the challenge of insecurity is bringing us together to partner and cooperate again. Onye ndị iro gbara gburugburu na-eche ndụ ya nche mgbe niile. We are now surrounded by dangerous criminals who want to decimate us and take over Igbo land. We are witnessing the worst form of insecurity, where human blood, held sacred by Igbos, is being shed recklessly, where human beings are beheaded and vilified, and where non-state actors now decree the days Ndi Igbo must go out to seek for their daily bread. And Igbo adage has it that the toad does not run in the afternoon without a cause. Our gathering today has been partly inspired by the fact that we are facing the collective threat of insecurity in the Southeast. The ease with which these criminals can move from one eastern state to another state reinforces the need for us to pull our resources together and to cooperate if we will be able to overcome the danger we face today. I really wish we did this meeting long before now. However, it is not too late, and Uzodimma should be our watchword, a source of encouragement and hope. As I earlier noted, we can only begin our search for the solutions to our challenges by telling ourselves the bitter truth. Already, we have identified the lack of unity as the major burn of our generation. In trying, therefore, to profile a solution to the major cause of our latter-day disunity, I have reminisced back in the time to our roots, and I have come to the conclusion that the real cause is that we have abandoned a special attribute that is not only unique to us, but makes others envious of us. I think that the crux of the matter is that we have allowed what we consider our unique identity attribute to rot. What is the Igbo unique identity attribute? Or otherwise, if you may wish, called DNA, if you prefer. It is our Republican spirit. I dare add that it is on the altar of our unique Republican spirit, fired by our kindred spirit, that our entrepreneurial energy and creativity are nurtured and unbundled. That is also the spirit that drove our unity in the past. How do I mean? As I alluded to earlier, one of the things that stood Ndi Igbo out in the First Republic and pre-independence era was the well-organized Igbo State Union. That union, which was driven by our Republican spirit, successfully brought every Igbo man under one umbrella. A few details here will suffice. The Igbo State Union was founded in 1948, 12 years before independence. It was an umbrella union that brought all Igbos together. It was private sector driven up to 1966, when it was proscribed along other political parties. The Igbo State Union had branches in every major town in Nigeria. It was a strong voice in the national political space. It believed strongly in a united Nigeria. It was a catalyst for private sector driven development projects such as schools, hospitals. The school known today as National High School Aba was built by Igbo State Union. It also built one of such schools in Kano and a number of other cities across the country. That is the spirit of unity. That is the origin of Nigerian project. That is the belief of an average Igbo man. What has gone wrong? The Igbo State Union was self-funded. It did not depend on public funds. It was influential and was respected all over the country and beyond as the independent and uncompromisable voice of Igbo. The salient takeaway from the above are as follows. The Igbo State Union was a private sector initiative and was private sector funded. Even after independence, it remained so. It was very influential as the united voice of Igbo. It was the Igbo Republican spirit that drove the union, hence no public sector influence or control. The people voluntarily came together and committed to defend, promote, develop the Igbo race with their own funds and at their own pace. The Igbo spirit of enterprise thrives more in an unfettered ground defined by freedom and equity, not on a litany of rules. The key to the sustainability and functional deployment of the micro-Igbo kindred spirit or the macro-Republican spirit lies in a private sector-driven initiative. Going forward, it is therefore my well-considered submission that we need to return to the golden era of the spirit of the Igbo State Union if we are truly desirous of a resurgence of an unassailable Igbo unity. Mind you, I'm not calling for a rebirth of another Igbo State Union. Far from it. So many things have happened since 1966 that makes a rebirth of an Igbo State Union practically impossible. Besides, Ohaneze Igbo has been around trying to fill the vacuum created by the demise of the Igbo State Union. Also, the dynamic reality of today makes it imperative that as a people, we must embark on a paradigm shift. We must be done, therefore, and what must be done is to reinvent the Igbo State Union spirit in a more pragmatic way to suit the challenges of our present generation. I had broached this idea when I delivered the 14th Anyim lecture at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka in 2018. I recall submitting then that Igbo should float an economic development fund to finance technological research in our universities and to ensure the practical realization of good research findings. I wish to stand on that proposal, but on an expanded version once again. I believe that there is need for our sons and daughters who drive the private sector to support Ohaneze Igbo, penetrate the grassroots, penetrate our young men and women, preach morality, teach them our culture and tradition, and make life more meaningful in our land. Ohaneze should be encouraged to have branches in all the states of Nigeria, including Abuja, in all the local governments in Nigeria where Igbo people live. All existing town unions should encourage and be encouraged to dissolve into Ohaneze and Igbo so that we can be united, and under that umbrella we can speak with one voice. As the private sector plays this crucial role of galvanizing Igbo into one united body with one voice, the public sector or the governments will have their own roles to play. I can confirm to you that our governors are working together and united, and the present set of governors are desirous in having Igbo interests developed, in having our region secure, in doing everything that will be necessary to bring prosperity to our people. In this connection, I consider it very necessary to suggest that the cooperation and unity of all Southeast leaders, both in public and private sector, they must come to meet, float a platform for routine engagements, so that collectively we can define our destiny. Collectively, we can defend our destiny. Collectively, we can protect our zone. I'm submitting that this meeting today be adopted as a standard annual meeting for leaders of Igbo. I therefore call on the organizing committee to consider this as part of the recommendation that they will adopt. A special forum to be established for all political office holders in the Southeast to meet at least twice a year, to exchange ideas, form a synergy on matters concerning Igbo. This will help us have a common national position on as many issues as possible. I will further suggest that we establish a platform for regular dialogue between the Southeast leaders and our youths. This could be by way of having a standing committee for Southeast youth engagement with leaders, a biennial conference, a conference between the leaders and the youth groups can be convoked. Through such interactions, the leaders will begin to understand and appreciate the peculiar challenges of our youths. Our youth also will have the opportunity of knowing what is happening in the world and in the country, because some of them have derailed out of ignorance, or otherwise I can say because nobody is talking to them. I think that the need to reinvent the guidance spirit of Onyaga na Nwanne in Igbos cannot be overemphasized. The decline in that spirit resulting from our defeat in the Civil War was our greatest loss. Apparently cowed by the defeat in that war, our people became afraid to assert themselves, to operate as a formidable team they were known for before and immediately after independence. This lacuna in the Igbo psyche is what I hope that can be filled through the proposals I have just outlined. Returning to the role of the private sector or public sector in ensuring a renaissance of Igbo unity and development, I believe the place to start is by addressing the nagging insecurity challenges in our land. As noted in this address earlier, one of the reasons why we are here is to discuss the prevailing insecurity in the Southeast and the way forward. This is one area that the state governments must have a substantial role to play. There is no doubt that the insecurity situation in the Southeast is fast turning into an inexplicable phenomenon. Hiding under a separatist agitation, criminals have visually laid siege on our respective states. The irony of that, most of them who unleash all manner of criminality and banditry on the Southeast live also in the Southeast. Some of them are also well known to the indigenes of the area where they use as their operational base. But the indigenes are too afraid to expose them. Indeed, what is happening in Southeast is not just curious, but unusual. The type of criminality, including barbarism, which hitherto were unthinkable in our labor, has now become a commonplace. We are witnessing a very uncommon times indeed. But as an Igbo proverb will have it, Anobo ajoso abagraya jebwe. If an animal makes a dangerous sprint, you have to fire at it with additional impetus. Or like Chine Shebe put it, if Weleke the bird learns to fly without passion, then the hunter must learn how to shoot without aiming. The summary is that we are in unusual times and we must apply unusual solutions. To achieve this, we must work together in many ways than one. My ideas on how we can achieve this will be discussed at the closed door sessions. But suffice it to say here that we must rise from this summit with a clear roadmap on how to ensure that our people are not interrupted in their legitimate quest to work and earn their livelihood. 7 days of the week, our people must be allowed to operate. This is to say that this summit must come up with a pragmatic ways of ending the senseless madness called sit at home in the Southeast. The Southeast is part of the Nigerian project. We believe in Nigeria. We are united, and not the only country we can call our own. And I would recommend that one day a president of Southeast extraction will emerge as a Nigerian president. Let me now touch on the issue of the economy of the Southeast and the urgent need to empower our youths so that they will no longer be willing tools in the hands of evil men and women terrorizing our region. While I concede that the issue of unemployment is a recurring problem pushing governments to their wits' end, it is something that will not go away except we tackle it from the roots. I have often wondered why the other regions still have institutions that bind them while we have none. For example, in the Southeast, you have entities like the Wema Bank, which is owned by the government of the Southwest. In the Southwest. And the Wema Bank is still standing. Why is equivalent in the Southeast? African Continental Bank is long gone. As a matter of fact, we have visually allowed the Michael Okpara legacies to go to West. Our economic sustainability strategy has never taken into account the need to work together for the growth of the Igbo economy as a whole, even though we come from different states. As I mentioned earlier, when I delivered the 14th edition of the famous Anyim lecture series, I advocated for the establishment of a development fund for Ndi Igbo to fund the economic and technology research by our academics. Our sons and daughters with the wherewithal should make contributions to this fund, while our academia will assess and utilize these funds to embark on research that will drive our innovative ideas for economic and technological advancement. This advocacy of mine is still as relevant today as it was on the first day I canvassed it. A further step can be taken to establish a Southeast Technology Village or Science Park. I had also made this call in one of my public lectures. This can be called the Orient Technology Village, and will serve as a place where talented scientists can be deployed to translate research findings from our universities into new products. I foresee the possibility of this village serving as the springboard that can turn Alibo and indeed Nigeria into the Japan of Africa. Again, because our people are entrepreneurs and traders, we need to assist them to make their contributions towards the economic growth of the Southeast. There is also a need to create common trade institutions like the establishment of Southeast Commodity Board for the purpose of boosting agriculture and commerce in the region. While the board helps farmers to take in and store their surplus yields, the masses will access these products at affordable rates. To achieve this effectively, there should be an efficient transport system across the region. The 5 Southeast states can establish and run a common transport company to facilitate the movement of goods and personnel across the region. We can even establish a railway system to run across the 5 southeastern states. With our Southeast Railway Corporation, our dream of economic integration would have come closer to reality. The current efforts of my administration in dredging the Oguta Lake up to the Atlantic Ocean are also geared towards boosting the economy of the Southeast, particularly because it comes with the prospect of a river port. This will certainly accelerate our economic development. Let me at this juncture commend our brothers and sisters in Nnewi, Anambra State, and Aba in Abia State for their vision in sustaining the towns as the economic hub of the Southeast. It feeds into our vision of backward integration, investing at home for our development. I'm looking forward to seeing more Nnewis and Abas replicated in various towns of Igbo land with specialized markets and services. We have Aba, we have Olu, we have Onitsha, we have Nsukka, we have Abakaliki, all waiting for these specialized markets and services. Let us explore the opportunities. My brothers and sisters, my dear governors, your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome you once more to Imo State as we engage in the serious business of brainstorming in this summit on the way forward for Ndigbo. I pray that you will find time also to relax and enjoy yourselves. When you do, you will even be amazed with the first-class hospitality our state has to offer. You may even be tempted to decide to stay back here permanently. Please feel free to do so. I wish all of us a very successful summit, and I want to thank all of you for coming, and may God bless us. Thank you.
The whole of Imo State. And of course the host governor, Chairman, Southeast Governors Forum, Executive Governor of Imo State, much respect, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodimma, CON. And to mention that we have here present the Honorable Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche G. Naji. And now it's time for us to listen to a man who is also co-hosting this summit. He is the Executive Governor of the Light of the Nation, Mr. Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, the Solution Governor, and of course, a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Solution Governor. We know of disruptive change and all the things that he stands for. So we cannot wait to hear the remarks by a commander of the Federal Republic. Mr. Governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, Kamota Kobo, Anyana Nabatia, the Koga, Guanyo Kunoga.
Ibo kwenu, bomono, zono, kachano. Your Excellencies, my colleague governors of the Southeast, the chairman of Ohaneze Ndigbo, can say all other protocols duly observed. The day is far well spent. I was supposed to speak by 11:20 a.m. for 5 minutes. I arrived by 10:40 and had to wait until the commencement. And I'm sure most people are tired, getting tired already, and I don't want us to run. So I've abandoned the speech that I wrote. It's on my iPad back in my car. I will just say a few minutes, make a few minutes of remark, just to say 1, 2, 3, since I have 5 minutes, because I think we need to recover back time. Some of us will be running in a few minutes' time. 5 minutes, 5 points. The first is gratitude. Gratitude to the organizing committee. Gratitude to Ohaneze Ndigbo. And gratitude to our host governor and our chairman. I think he actually spoke on behalf of all of us, the governors. When he was going on, I said, let him take our own time, and so to speak. We donated it freely to him to speak on our behalf. Thank you very much for hosting this. This was scheduled by all of us, and I am very delighted to be here. I want to thank all of you, and thank you all for coming, answering the call of this summit scheduled by the 5 Southeast governors. That's my first point, gratitude and thank you. The second is and that is the most important reason why all of us, the 5 Southeast governors, are here. And that is to let our people know of our unwavering, unalloyed commitment to this project. And so I want to say, on behalf of myself, the government, and the great people of Anambra State, that we are committed to this Southeast agenda. It's not just talk. We have started demonstrating this, the way that we have started conducting ourselves. This is really a new dawn in the Southeast. And for those I hear, and I see many people on televisions, talking and admonishing the Southeast governors to come together, unite and do this and so on and so forth. This is not talk. We are. And I am very, very delighted to be part of this particular group. When we had our first or the second Southeast Governors Forum together in Enugu, we demonstrated that all of us in attendance, no representation as it were. And today we are here. And part of that commitment to show that wherever it is in Igbo land, we are together. Ideally, this kind of summit, being the Southeast, should have been held in our eternal political capital, Enugu. But here we are in Owerri, demonstrating that commitment and solidarity with one another. I want to thank the governor of Enugu, who a few days ago hosted the True Justice and Peace Commission that I set up last year, and all the security advisors of the 5 governors were there. And you guys met. I've received the report, and I want to believe that our governors were going to consider this in due course. Thank you very much, the governor. And so, a new dawn, a new team, now give us the agenda. And that brings me to my third point. My third point is that we need a plan. I don't want to regale you with my own proposals and so on and so forth. We all have ideas. But for the organizers of this summit, what we need and will very much cherish from all of you is not just a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan. The Vatican plans in centuries. Give us a 100-year plan for the Southeast. Lieutenant, you're welcome. Give us a 100-year plan. And in Anambra, we developed a 50-year plan, Vision 2070. My manifesto derived from that 50-year plan. We are intentionally, deliberately, intently implementing that. We need a plan. Because if you don't have a destination in mind, any road will take you there. I want to believe that at the end of this summit, we have a working group that will give us a Southeast plan and an agenda. Anyim, I'm giving you more job to do. A plan. The next one is homeland consciousness. What will it take to implement this plan? Onwa? You spoke extensively about the things that we need, this and that, and so on and so forth. But I want to suggest, dear friends, that if we don't have the homeland consciousness, we don't believe in ourselves, this will not be achieved. So, let us believe. I've had the speeches given, books of lamentations. They're very good to lament, but I rather like to see the glass as half full than half empty. The Southeast is ready for business. The Southeast is ripe for business. And we must all believe in our ability to turn things around and get the Southeast going again. That must be the outcome of this particular summit. We can lament about the insecurity and so on and so forth. This is not the most insecure place in the world. Other places are thriving in spite of their own insecurity. Yes, when I arrived in Anambra, 8 local governments were totally under siege by these hoodlums. They're all gone. We're settling to business. They will not deter us. Anambra and the Southeast, all of us, must be determined to move our place forward in spite of the challenges. So, I say to our people, but those in diaspora who are waiting for the perfect time to come, when all the problems are solved, when the Southeast governors must have solved all the problems, God didn't make a mistake in making you Onigbo. God didn't make a mistake in making you to come from the Southeast. If he chose for you to come at the time when all the problems are solved, then he would have decided to make you to come another time, not now. So, homeland consciousness, we must all believe. Stop seeing the half empty, oh, it's all gloom and doom. They shot somebody yesterday and therefore we must all run. If we all do that, this place will be a desolate homeland. We must believe. And my last point, the kind of partnerships you require to make it happen. When we believe, and part of that belief, in Uguabia, and I now wearing Akwete from Abia. When I put on the Akwete from Abia and Innocent from Newi, or Shoe from where? Who said Abba? Not Abba. My shoe comes from Obudike. I believe. Because I do what? I believe. Where is yours coming from? Eh? Where? No. I can say the fine things from Italy and from all over the world and so on. We must believe. So, self-belief, for me, is fundamental. If we live here without mainstreaming that, then all this wallowing, we might have just come, feel good factor, we talk to ourselves and go home. We must believe in ourselves. And finally, after the issue of self-belief comes partnerships. Ndi Igbo, we need not just ourselves, we need Nigeria. Ndi Igbo need Nigeria, and Nigeria needs Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo need Africa and the world and Africa need Ndi Igbo. As an itinerant people, we cannot be an intolerant people. We need the partnership of everybody. Partnership of the rest of the country, partnership of the diaspora, partnership with the international community. When we recently recruited about 5,000 teachers in Anambra, we didn't ask people where you come from. In that recruitment, we have people from all over the country. And we're now recruiting medical personnel. I think an officer mistakenly advertised that it was only for people from Anambra, and we've got her to apologize. As a people, itinerant people who are everywhere, we cannot afford to be provincial. We can't afford to be provincial. We must be able to, what does the Igbo child need? The Igbo child needs to be taught by the best teacher anywhere in the world, not to be taught by the teacher from his village, or needing medical attention to only have medical attention from somebody from his or her village. No, you want to have attention from the best in the world, and that's who we are. We must think home, act global, but our homeland, to build a livable and prosperous homeland, must be a mission. And for that to happen, we need ourselves and we need the world. I want to thank you very much, and God bless you.
Without doubt, he is a world-class scholar. In 5 minutes, he wrapped up his points and made it abundantly very clear. Can we put our hands together one more time for His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Soludo, Governor of Anambra State, and very quickly, Her Excellency Princess Patricia Onyemechi Obila, Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, is here representing His Excellency Right Honorable Francis Ogbonna Nwifuru, Governor of Ebonyi State. I'd like to also welcome here Chief Leo Staneke. When Nigeria was swimming in the pool of analog, you were already ahead of your time by digitizing. Thank you very much for your foresight. Thank you very much. Chief Tony Chukwu, I welcome you. And representing the IG of police here, DIG Frank Mba is in our midst. I'd like to welcome you. And representing the youth of this country and the media, the national president of NUJ, Chief Chris Isiguzo, MFR, is also here with us. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome all the way from Abia State, my governor, His Excellency Dr. Alex Oti, OFR.
Your Excellencies, the governors of the Southeast states, the Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must not fail to recognize Abogidi, the Obi of Onitsha, Igwe Nemeka Alfred Achebe CFR, Igwe No. Igwe is my father and my mentor. So let me use him to recognize all the other traditional rulers, including the chairman of the Council of Traditional Rulers, Abia State, His Royal Majesty Eze Linto Mba. I must also recognize my own Archbishop, Obuko, the Methodist Archbishop of Umuahia, and therefore stand on other existing protocols. It's such a difficult task to speak after a professor of economics, former governor of Central Bank, and my senior brother, Professor Soludo. If it were in the north, when the leader had finished speaking, the rest of us would just chorus, "To." So I would have just said "To" to what Professor Soludo said. I'll try to be brief. I'm most especially delighted to stand before you today and share my thoughts on the importance of this summit and the expectations of many Igbo sons and daughters and other interested local and international players who will be quietly following to see what fruits this event will bear in the medium to long term. Permit me to begin by appreciating the Southeast Governors Forum, the leadership of Ohaneze Ndigbo, ably led by Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu, CFR, the Summit Central Organizing Committee, and all the individuals and groups who contributed in diverse ways to make this program a reality. Thank you for the sacrifices and for everything you have given to bring our people together to reflect and talk to ourselves on the two issues that are very critical to our survival and prosperity as one people: security and economic prosperity of the region. It is fulfilling to observe that all the clans, socioeconomic, political, cultural, and demographic groups within the Southeast region are fully represented, and the importance of this should never be lost on us. The vision of the organizers of this event is very clear: building a secure, prosperous, and economically robust Southeast. This intervention is very timely, and it is good we have it in this auditorium. Individuals with records of proven achievements in all thematic areas. It is my expectation that the insights to be shared by these accomplished men and women shall help chart a new path for our land, which unfortunately has become beleaguered by several challenges that could not have been contemplated a few years back. Our duty here is to tell ourselves the truth, and we must resist the temptation to let political considerations minimize the frankness and sincerity that should be central to our recovery and restoration. A lot has gone wrong in the last 2 decades and more, and the triggers were both internal and external. What we must do over the next 2 days is to look ourselves in the eye and admit that we have indeed not lived up to the vision and dreams of our fathers, the men who built what was once known as the most thriving economic center of enterprise and productivity in the world, and that was Southeast. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Michael Oparade Sambakwe, Dr. Akano Epiam, and others achieved so much for this region, not because they had all the money in the world, no. What they had was a clear vision of where they wanted the region to be, and followed it up with the right commitment, made the right sacrifices, and built the networks and partnerships that enabled them to achieve so much within a very short time. Some of the most better developed cities and towns, outstanding institutions and structures we still have across all parts of Igbo land and beyond, here very eloquent testimony to the vision and developmental strides of our fathers. The question is, why did we stop? What comparable achievements have we recorded in the last 40 years compared to the previous 40 years? Why it is very convenient to blame military interventions and external sabotage for much of our failure, we must also look within and ask those searching questions. Have we been fair to ourselves? As leaders, have we done the best to advance the socio-economic interests of the land? Trading blames and pointing accusing fingers at others would do us no good. To solve our problems, including worrisome insecurity, requires the collective engagement of all stakeholders. As leaders, we must acknowledge that the challenges we face today were products of yesterday's decisions. How do we create jobs and the enabling environment to sustain enterprise? How can we support our young people to live out the full expression of their dreams here? How do we build an ecosystem that attracts and retains the best talents we can find? The needs of the modern man have evolved, and we must be able to develop the structures that speak to the appetites of the average individual in this age. Modern housing facilities, quality road networks, dynamic educational facilities that answer to the learning needs of the global economy, smart cities, high-speed broadband internet, one-stop shops and retail malls, standard hotels and event centers, parks and gardens, secured and clean neighborhoods, financial services centers, and access to quality water have become very central to our existence in this age. And any government that compromises on these would continue to witness the mass exodus of East best brains and minds. So what is the way forward? I cannot claim to have all the answers, but I have a few ideas that I believe are worth examining. One, we must be willing to engage with our youth population, understand their needs, and address that sense of alienation that is continuing to linger. We must importantly identify effective ways of tapping into the power of their creative mind for their lives and advantage. Additionally, we must appreciate that there is anger in the land, and there is a reason many people are disappointed. We must open a window of engagement with those who believe that they have not been paid attention to or they have not been treated fairly. As leaders, we must be open to listening to those we are leading, especially when we have different ideas about key issues. We must work for justice. Justice in our community, justice in our region, justice in the entire land. The common man feels that anything can happen and justice will hardly be done. The extortion and exploitation of our people by those in power must stop, and the life, voice, and freedom of every individual. Thank you. And the life, voice, and freedom of every individual must count within the limit permitted by law. We must rise to condemn the rampant acts of bloodletting and other forms of violent crimes in the region. Our culture and tradition regard the human blood as very sacred, and we must hold on to that. The desperation to get rich, especially amongst young people, has reached epidemic levels, and we must be genuinely worried. Is there anything we can do to make contentment a virtue in our land once again? I'll leave that to everyone in this auditorium to respond to. We also have a responsibility to find ways of addressing the rising problem of drug abuse, which is damaging the life and potentials of many of our young ones. Supply must be cut off, and those who profit from this pattern of destruction need to face the full wrath of the law. This is one matter we must never compromise on if we want to restore security and sanity in our communities. Importantly, we must encourage our people to look east by creating the right environment for their businesses. It is not enough to ask them to relocate home, but I must especially commend the industrialists and businessmen who are continuing to invest in this region. I thank you for your efforts at job creation and holistic economic growth within the region. I encourage others to begin to see the great opportunities that are developing here. But I must also address our leaders that we do not have a choice but to create the enabling environment for businesses to do well in the Southeast. Remember, fortune, they say, favors the brave. As political leaders, we must set the pace by identifying investment opportunities within our domain and commit adequate public resources to motivate private investors. We must lead the way, and there are lots of opportunities waiting to be harnessed in oil and gas, hospitality, transportation, education, and so much more. While it may make sense to say that government has no business in business, it is also factual to say that without government direction and commitment, no business will remain in business for a long time. Where necessary, government must intervene directly in business. And I make bold to say that quite unlike what the classical economics will tell you, that government involvement in business is not healthy for business, I say that that is not true. I have it on authority that the United States government invests no less than $28.5 to $30 billion every year intervening in agriculture and ensuring food security in the United States. Same is done in energy and, of course, other areas, including transportation. At this point, I want to specially invite everyone seated here to the groundbreaking ceremony of the Abia Industrial and Innovation Park in Owaza. Owaza is in Okwa West local government of Abia State, and this event comes up on Saturday, the 30th of this month by 12 noon. That's in 2 days' time. The park, sitting on over 1,000 hectares of land, will host multiple layers of businesses, including modular refineries, petrochemical and fertilizer plants, and several other chains of enterprises that will take advantage of the oil and gas deposits in Okwa West. It is near to Aba and Port Harcourt cities. A seaport is in the works. An EPZ will also follow. 24-hour power supply is guaranteed, and other components of the larger ecosystem within the community to make businesses work. Already we have secured support of a major stakeholder to build an innovation and incubation center within the park. The facility will train and expose our young minds to the best tools and platforms for their trade. The Innovation and Incubation Center will specially benefit university students, graduates, and startups in several ways. You will get more details from some of our representatives at this summit and at the groundbreaking ceremony on Saturday. My message as I close is simple. Building our region into a prosperous and secure space is our collective obligation. No foreigner will do it for us. Granted that foreign investment is desirable, those who own the land must lead the way and develop in accordance with the values they hold dear. We are naturally enterprising people, but we are also in love with knowledge and learning. Whatever we propose must take cognizance of who we are as a people and how we want to interact with the larger world. The emphasis must be on getting as many people as possible on this sailing ship, but we must never be held back by those whose ideas and methods have never yielded anything beneficial. In the end, we must never shirk in our duty to show our children the path to a desired future. Even if we are unable to get there ourselves, we must strive. The commitment must be to do better and, most importantly, position this land to take advantage of the many systems of benefits that the new global borderless economy promises. My dear brothers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening, and I will see you in Okwa West on Saturday. God bless you.
Words and mumble by the Executive Governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti. And now we will move on to hear from Summit co-host and the Executive Governor. Yet another welcome remark from a summit co-host and Executive Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba. Let us hear from the man who is transforming Enugu State in different, unusual ways. I thought you were clapping. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, my brothers, governors of the various states in the Southeast, the chairman of the occasion, please permit me to adopt the already established protocol for want of time. The day is fast spent. I would also toe the line of my brother from Anambra. I will not read my formal speech, which I've prepared because I was billed to actually speak at 11:35. And as you know, I'm also hosting another event in Enugu State, so I must hurry to meet up with that event. I am truly delighted to be at this summit, holding at a critical time for us as a people, bound in common history and cultural heritage. But before I proceed, let me, as a co-host, also join my brothers in bidding you all welcome to this August occasion. I may technically be also qualified as a guest, but I know many of you have traveled from far to be here. So we indeed say welcome. And I also want to thank immensely the organizers of this occasion. We are indeed very grateful for your commitment and sacrifice. As I drove from Enugu to Owerri this morning, taking in the wondrous landscape and the lush vegetation, I was struck by how common our communities are alike. I was trying to figure out the distinguishing feature going from one state to another, but I could barely find anything distinguishing one state from another, except the customary signposts at the various boundaries. So the ties that bind us together run truly deep. So we have this commonality of everything. We may have various dialects, but we have one language, Igbo. And this Igbo nation is today faced with existential challenges, existential threats. We are faced with the worst security bout ever experienced in the Southeast. We're also faced with the worst economic slump ever witnessed since after the end of the Civil War. And I'm very glad that we're here today to discuss about these two critical issues, security and economy of the Southeast states. For me, the goal of securing the Southeast does not really depend on one state being able to arrest and dislodge criminals as a single unit. We must begin to think about strategies that enable us to ring-fence the zone and to be able to deploy a common strategy and common operations plan to be able to deal with these security challenges. And in doing so, we also have to begin to think about how do we, the people of the Southeast, the governors of the Southeast, how do we meet regularly with the security agencies? How do we ensure that the inter-security agencies are able to share intelligence and that there is no undue restriction? Because sharing of such intelligence is what you require to fight a cross-boundary criminality. And so we would also, in the same vein, be thinking about how do we set up a command and control center that is common to the entire Southeast states. I recall in our first meeting, the Southeast Governors Forum, some of these ideas were mooted, and I'm hoping that as part of the ideas that would be explored in this occasion would be to figure out how we can implement and execute these ideas. We are also looking at ways beyond just the kinetic approach to addressing insecurity. We're looking at the moral suasion, the non-kinetic approaches to dealing with insecurity. We know that some of these our youths are being misled into believing that they are fighting a noble cause. And so this is where our traditional rulers, our president generals of the various town unions have a critical role to play. How do we let our youth see the folly in their action, their misguided actions, knowing that this could only be a shot in the foot? As a way of extending the non-kinetic approach is also for us as leaders of this zone to be able to think about how do we deal with the root causes of insecurity. In my opinion, how do we address unemployment and poverty? That naturally leads me to the next theme of this summit, economy. I believe that in order for us as a region to grow, we must take a bold view of the things we can achieve as a region. So, and that would include looking at how do we have an integrated region, into how do we integrate this region, a very compact region for that, but how do we integrate it into a common market? And what are the synergies that we require to build in order to achieve that? What are the key enablers to have a common market? Now, the importance of having a common market is A, you're going to be able to attract large investments. Okay, if we're looking at a market size of 25 million people and above, so you're talking about 25 million consumers, and you're looking at the economies of scale that you can achieve by that sheer size of people. We're also going to be able to look at how do we create a large scope of specialization by way of, the things we have comparative advantage of in the Southeast. So there are ways we can begin to think about expanding or growing our economy, but talking about them would require, as I said, key enablers. And in my view, those key enablers would be in form of transportation and logistics. How do we ensure that we have a rail network that loops across the various cities in Anambra, Abia, Imo, Enugu, and Ebonyi? How do we build a ring road that connects all the major cities in the Southeast? How do we build so that we can seamlessly encourage those who are producing and those who are providing services to be able to distribute their products and services across the different cities of Southeast seamlessly? So there are things that we must be intentional about if we're going to deal with unemployment and insecurity in the Southeast. So, without wasting so much time, I'm going to be suggesting a few things. First of all, let us look at how to curate this idea of since today we now have rail as, based on the new amendment of the law, we have rail in the concurrent list. So there is nothing stopping us. So if we pick one or two projects from this summit that we can say, look, we're going to, as a people of Southeast, make sure that we implement, we execute, and we know that it's going to have a huge spillover effect. Of course, the challenge would be, if we believe in it, what would be the various sources of fund? How do we fund it? That again brings me to this philosophy of Akuruno. We can be thinking about different models of funding. We have the crowdfunding model. So Akuruno, in my view, is for us to also encourage our kids and kin to be able to bring back their wealth to the Southeast, at least putting a benchmark of, say, between 30 and 40% of our wealth. We're people that are wealthy, the Igbos. So if we begin to think about how do we invest some of those funds in the Southeast, is also a way of making sure that we implement. We have huge capital flow into the Southeast to be able to execute some of these critical projects. So my hope is that this summit is going to employ the best of our brains to create these ideas, prepare them in a way that is implementable. I can assure you that for us, I'm sure I'm speaking for my brothers as well, that we're going to stand by you to implement these great ideas that you would curate from this summit. So once again, I want to thank the organizers of this summit, and I wish you a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
More music at ngf.com.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, I want to appeal to our governors that will be cutting this event as much as possible. So we crave your indulgence and your patience to still be with us. Let me quickly now invite Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, representing the Governor, Right Honorable Francis Obona Winfrey. I'd like to welcome our Princess Patricia Onyemechi Obila to please step forward here. Most of those comments we'll be having, if we could keep them as low as 3 minutes, we'll be very happy.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Imo State, our own brother, Senator Pope Uzodimma, the other governors here present, the President General of Ohaneze, our own brother, my own father, Chief Emmanuel Iwayam, the Secretary of Security Chiefs here, other religious and traditional rulers here present. For what of time, let me appreciate and stand on the already established protocols. Greetings from my own dear Governor, the Executive Governor of Ebonyi State, Right Honorable Ogbonna Mwifuru. He would have been here present, but you know what happened yesterday? He's still in Abuja, but we thank God for the grace. And congratulations to Ebonyi people and everybody here. I'm deeply grateful to the organizers of this wonderful security summit in our Southeast. It came at the right time, the time that we have to stick together as one family. It came at a time that we have to talk and look at our faces and tell ourselves the truth. Yes, we have come of that age. Enough is enough. We need to come home. We need to come together. We need to speak at one voice. We need to talk to each other, to encourage each other, so that all that we need in this Southeast will be done. What do we need? First of all, we need peace. This peace cannot just come from anywhere. Let us start from our homes. As a mother, what do you do in your house? Have you been able to talk to your children? When we talk of social vices all start from home. Have we been able to trace? Have we been able to talk to our children? Where are you coming from at this late hour? Which type of friendship? Which type of people do you follow? And once in a while as a mother, have you gone to the school of your children to know whether exactly they are in the school? These are the roles of a mother that we need to do to curb all these social vices that is emanating and taking the role of our children. Mothers, are you there? Yes. The women are ready to take this course. We are ready to go back home to talk to our children, to remove them from the wrong track and bring them to the rightful one. Praise the Lord. Secondly, we have said it all here. All my leaders, the governors, and all that have spoken here, we have said it all. All that we need in this Southeast is to believe in ourselves. There is nothing we cannot do in Southeast. When you go out there, even outside the country, the best in the whole world comes from Southeast. The best in the brain, they come from Southeast. How can't we sit? Can't we sit together and harness this epitome and harness all this wisdom that we have in the house seat? So please, this summit, we appreciate it so much. I wish we can be having it every week, where we can come together and interact and speak with one voice on how to move Southeast forward. But for Ebonyi State, we are committed and fully committed to support this project to the end. God bless you all. And as we go back home, let us go as that good ambassador to preach this good news to our people. God bless you all, and it shall be well with us.
Ebonyi State Governor, for the success in the tribunal. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to speak to us next is the President General Ohaneze Igbo, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Iwanyawo.
The Chairman of this very important occasion, our very beloved and illustrious son, distinguished Senator Anyim, President, Senate of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and former Secretary of Government of Nigeria. You made a very impressive speech. And of course, all the governors have spoken, and they spoke very well. They form part of the materials for the resource people to make up their final decision. Time is not in our favor. I have a written, very brief speech written, but I can't read it. I'll tell my people, I will rest on protocol as Soludo of Onitsha and other traditional rulers. I've seen my bishop. My bishop is here, Bishop Onoha, and the other bishops are all here. So please, I rest of myself on protocol. I stand here as the President General of Igbos, as the leader of Igbos, to say welcome to everybody, especially those of you who have traveled from outside Igbo land to join us. My first duty is to say thank you to our governors under the leadership of Uzodimma, who is the chairman of the governors. This is a very important ceremony, and I want to assure the governors, Ohaneze will be very willing to have this event as one of the annual events in the calendar of Igbos. I will forward it to Obi of Onitsha. Obi of Onitsha is the chairman of a committee that we hope will look at our culture, tradition, and drop a new calendar for Igbos. So I want to tell our governors that we are not going to leave this without that. Now, this is a summit on development and security. I will only summarize. In security, I have very painfully examined what has been happening in Igbo land and other parts of Nigeria for the past 2 years. I have been in tears most of the time. As a leader of Igbos, every Igbo person is my son or my daughter. If you are a leader, you must lead good people. You must lead bad people. I accept the fact that among Igbos I lead, they are not all angels. It's my duty as a father to take steps to ensure that bloodshed is stopped. Tomorrow, when I address our people on the Igbo Day ceremony, I will make a proclamation, and I'm going to say that all these young people should sheathe their swords. They must come to us, the elders, and tell us what their problem is. And we are going to appeal to the government to think of non-kinetic approach. I don't feel happy losing the life of my children. I don't feel happy people, when soldiers are killed in reprisal, many people are killed, property is destroyed. Even if you use Air Force, when a bomb is thrown, bomb doesn't know who is an insurgent. You kill everybody. So we have found ourselves in a difficult position, and I think we must consider seriously the non-kinetic approach. Number two, is not only pursuing the criminals. Why are they criminals? Why are they criminals? You must stop the cause. First of all, the economic condition in Nigeria is bad. Everybody knows that very well. I am very glad. I am very proud very proud of the governors of Southeast. All the Southeast governors have started a program of creating jobs, creating employment, of youth development. I am very happy. I'm very happy with this. I think federal government should support the Southeast governments and Anyim in a program of completely transforming the economy of this place in order to create jobs, in order to produce goods and services. So they will help us. We thank the federal government for the dredging of Uguta Lake, which Governor of Imo State have initiated. We also in Ohaneze, when I went to America, many Igbos there are interested in dredging Azumini, in dredging Ihiala and Okija. So apart from Uguta, we could get Azumini a seaport there, a seaport around Ihiala. We are trading people. If we have this, you know, our place will turn from this type of crisis to heaven everywhere. Number two, we have our people are traders, commercial people. We have in Ohaneze decided to encourage the development of markets. In fact, one of our sons have already finalized arrangement to develop an international market at Umuahia. An international market, Umuahia in Abia State. It's going to be on 200 hectares of land. It's fantastic. And when that is done, most of our people who live in Igbo land to other places will now have markets to trade. There is a group also that is working on a megacity between between Okigwe and Enugu. We are working on it. We hope to discuss this with the governors forum at appropriate time. There are so many things we are planning. A lot of things we hope when we plan them, things will be all right. But we think federal government will support the governors. That is, support them financially, support them on the projects they're carrying, so that you could have job opportunities. Once you have job opportunities, that will help to reduce all this crime. I don't want to talk so much because we have been here for too long. I want to thank Chris Anyim and his team. I want to thank all of you. May God bless you. Thank you.